supposed to. Only choking in your ears, now we getting close to.
Alrighty, we are live. We're here with Ben Eddy, the Rubber Guardian, the Hindulotine master. Thanks for coming along, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a while.
Been a few years.
Been a while since I've seen you.
In person.
How long ago was
I see
that?
you on the internet.
How long ago was that when I came?
2016, I think, or 2017 maybe.
Yeah.
2016, you were in Ireland, and then I think I saw you at one of the Amsterdam camps as well. After that,
yeah, wasn't there another Ireland camp too that we did with Jeremy?
It was, yeah,
guys?
2019. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, I had that one too.
Yeah, still a long time. That was pre-COVID, pre-madness.
Yeah, pre-COVID. Damn, it was a different world back then.
Yeah, absolutely was. Yeah, so speaking of history, maybe you can give us yours.
Yeah, just like kind of how I started out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I know, like, he started way back with Denny in Templana, San Francisco. I think Rory was training with you guys back then.
Yeah, I think Rory was there from the start, or maybe I always try to remember that, like if he was there like literally at the start, or if he came in like a couple years after me or 1 year after me, but yeah, I moved to San Francisco when I was like 20. Came there at that time I came there for tech and like startups. I was like making money online with like different online marketing, like SEO, affiliate marketing. And yeah, I was like looking for a city to go to, and I saw that San Francisco is kind of this like tech startup city. So I just decided to go there. I came from like a really small town, Hood River, Oregon. And so, yeah, San Francisco definitely like blew my mind in a lot of ways. Just this like small town Christian kid going to San Francisco. It was pretty wild cultural upbringing. But, I was looking for like a friend group. I was kind of like, working online and stuff. And so I was also just kind of looking for a way to work out, something to be active other than just my computer stuff. And I had done wrestling all growing up. So I was initially looking into like wrestling clubs. And, once you start looking into wrestling clubs around San Francisco, the wrestling clubs around there were not the type I was looking to get into. And right. I eventually found Jiu Jitsu. I actually didn't even know that was a sport at that time. And I found that it was. I figured out what it was. I was like, wow, okay, this is actually great. This is like, just wrestling with submissions. And so I was really stoked to see that. And I started trying out a few different gyms. And Denny's was like the third gym I tried out. And we didn't have to wear the gi. So that matched my wrestling side. It kind of made more sense to me from a wrestling base. And he also had these wrestling Thursdays. I think it was like Thursday, where it's like all we did was wrestling. We just did King of the Hill and focused on wrestling. And so I was able to like do pretty well on Thursdays, even though I was getting murked all the rest of the days. So I kind of liked that a little bit, but also just really vibed with the guys. Denny and that crew at that time was just, even early on, obviously later on I really vibed, but even early on I could just see like it was a very young base. Denny was also like 20 or maybe 21, and everyone else there was pretty young, just very diverse group of people and very open to like, I remember like one of the first things that really attracted me to jiu-jitsu was that it felt like everyone was still figuring it out. Like it felt like the sport was still being figured out. Like Denny was really open to questions. People would ask questions, and sometimes he'd be like, I don't really know. Let's feel it out. Let's feel out what we're supposed to do on this spot. And usually like you see like a wrestling coach, you see any other kind of coach, they're just like, no, this is exactly how you do it. This is how it's supposed to be done. And so it was just very clear in the sport that like this was something that was developing. It was something that was getting figured out. And I liked that. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of fun. Everyone's kind of involved in the figuring out process here, and people have their own different ideas and ways that they do stuff. And I really and plus like San Francisco is such a cool city for like, at that time at least, San Francisco was like in really good vibes, really good spirits. The startup scene was really picking up, and the way you can just, what I love the most about San Francisco is you could just walk around it. Its public transport was really good, and it was such a small city. It's just like 5 miles by 5 miles. And so it's like very easy just to walk it or use public transport. So, I never had to have a car, and just the way you like kind of get around with friends is like, it just feels so much more like, I don't know, you end up getting into a lot more stuff. I feel like when I'm in like cities and places with cars, we drive to the place we're going to, and then we drive and leave. afterwards. You know, it's whenever like when you're like walking, you just like run into random stuff, and you just like kind of get into whatever. So you walk down to the gym, and then you walk to the park afterwards, and then you walk up to the restaurant, and I don't know, it's just you jump on the train. Like San Francisco is a really cool place at that time. So it was really fun feeling out that group of friends and having that time in that city. I was mainly focused on tech for the first. I was there for a good 6 years. I was mainly still focused on tech and startups and kind of what I was doing with all my online stuff. But jujitsu definitely played a big role, and I was already competing a lot, and it slowly kind of started to take over.
Yeah. Must have been great to train with Denny as well. Like he's
Yes.
definitely one of the better coaches out there.
Yeah, yeah, and at that time, he was our best, 10th planet competitor. So it was really cool, just like kind of hearing where his head was at, and kind of hearing how he approached things. He was always into a lot of different stuff as well, just to like improve himself. Like he went through the kettlebell training and got super certified in that. He went through like a lot of breathing training. He would do like a lot of a lot of my breathing stuff that I picked up from Denny, because he went through a lot of different types of breathing training. Kundalini was like one of the main ones too, for like meditation as well. But he was always going through some sort of outside of jujitsu training as well. And it was always interesting to kind of hear from him about those things. And so I picked up a lot of that stuff as well too. But yeah, I mean, Denny was just super technical and very, very 10th planet game. You know, like Denny knew everything about all the different 10th planet paths and was always teaching the 10th planet path. So yeah, obviously it's just a very 10th planet school too, which was great to get the base like that. Yeah. And all of our guys are pretty interested in competing. Like we had Adam Sacknoff was competing all the time, Michael Hillbrand, pretty much all of us were into competing. Yeah. There's a big group of us that were always going out to all the competitions. We like traveled with each other, and yeah, so I really liked that side, that everybody was like pretty competitive.
Yeah. And a bunch of these guys are still, like Rory's still training away. Michael
Yeah.
Hillebrand, Adam Sacknoff, they're all like teaching, not just training,
Yeah,
but
Matt
teaching
Walsh
as
has
well.
got a gym. I feel like we have like eight. I feel like there's like 6 to 8 guys that all have gyms now. They all have black belts and they have gyms. There's definitely like I feel like there's literally like 15 of them that have their black belt right now and are still training. But I think like 6 to 8 of them are actually running gyms.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it was a very
What a
solid
crazy
crew.
little like incubator
Yeah.
that gym was.
Yeah, it was a very solid crew. I feel like it was the other than Eddie's gym itself, was probably one of the first like real big solid crews of like training environments.
Yeah. And then after San Francisco, then you headed up to LA for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, what got me pulled down into LA was, Eddie was getting ready for his rematch with Hoyler and on Metamoris. And so I was just kind of feeling like that it was such a big deal. I was seeing like kind of everyone talk about it and Eddie kind of get ready for it. And a lot of other people were going down there too. And so I was like, man, I gotta take advantage of this. I can't, this is like a once in a lifetime thing. So I've gotta be down there and like, be around Eddie and everyone while this is happening. So I just figured it out. I like looked around on Craigslist for studios and different places in LA that were available. And I just, yeah, I found a place, stayed there for a month leading up to Eddie's Metamoris and just getting to train with everybody. And yeah, that was like such an epic time and so cool. And it really just transitioned me into everything else. But yeah, Eddie's match went as it was, and at that time he was starting to talk about EBI and this promotion he wanted to do, and yeah, by the time he came around to like actually run an EBI one, he ended up inviting me and Gio onto it for the 10th Planet people, and so that's when like I remember like we had went to some competition, like it was like a Naga or something, but it was in Vegas. And afterwards, Gio and I were like hanging out the whole night with a bunch of other 10th Planet guys. And I remember that night, Gio was like, dude, like we're both an EBI one. Like you should just come train with us. Just come live with us until EBI one. You can just live in the garage, just come stay with us, train with us, leading up to EBI one, and let's do this together, And so yeah, so that's when I switched over to training with Gio. At that time, just kind of with the idea of like doing it like leading up to EBI one, not like as a forever long term thing. Still see myself going back to San Francisco, but kind of just an idea of like doing it just up till EBI 1. But yeah, I started living in the garage with Gio. We were both in the garage at that point. Yeah, training up till EBI 1, and that was a beautiful time. I was a purple belt. Gio was a brown belt still, or did he just get his black belt? I think he had just got his black belt, and so that was the test of his like new black belt. I think he had just got his black belt, yeah, but I was still a purple belt. And yeah, I remember, I remember going into EBI 1, like at some point I think it was like even before Eddie invited me to EBI 1, I came up with the Hindulotine. And when I came up with the Hindulotine, I was in Eddie's gym, and I had just been for like a while. I had just been like kind of hugging my knee, like with both arms. Like you have like your one knee hug, but I just started to like hug it with both arms and just kind of hold out. And I was like, man, there's got to be some kind of a move from here. There's got to be something. And I remember I was doing that for a while, and just it took me a bit till I finally like put my arm back over my foot. And I was like, oh, okay, there's just like kind of some kind of hold here. Maybe there's like some kind of choke here. And then, yeah, I finally figured out at that time, I was actually just using a reverse pretzel. I didn't use the like okay grip. I was just using the reverse pretzel. And I remember that's how I actually hit those Hindulotines at the EBI 1 as well. Because at that time I was into reverse pretzels. It took me a little while to find the okay grip and to start doing that instead. But yeah,
You
I
find
remember
that okay grip lets you like bring the elbows up higher compared
it's
to
like just easier to, yeah, the elbows can go a little higher, yeah, but it's mainly just that it's easier to get to. Like when you have this like when you're trying to reach under the chin and try and reach through all the traffic of everything that's going on there, if you got to get this whole hand, that's like a lot to get. Whereas if I just got to get the thumb, then it's just like not very much, right? So they're usually pulling at your fingers and pulling at your hand and your wrist or whatever. So usually the thumb is still available. Like I can usually just make that kind of little wrap, and I can just find that. And that's like all I need. And then I can use that versus like needing the whole hand. So I think the whole hand is still like powerful. And I have actually like just recently I've started playing again with like using the reverse gable. And so I think sometimes if I can find the reverse gable, it does have a little more power. But yeah, the okay grip is just basically just more available. But yeah, I remember like pretty much the day I like found it. So I didn't even know if it was any good at all. It's just like the day I found it, I was like, I called over to Eddie. I'm like, hey, Eddie, look at this, like, what do you think about this? And he's already like thinking it's pretty legit. He's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. That's crazy, dude. That's like, we need to name that and stuff. And I was like, I don't even know if it's any good yet. I haven't used this. I'm just screwing around, I haven't even used this live or nothing, I'm just feeling for this. And, but he immediately just like names it. He's like, that's some crazy Hindu shit. We're going to have to call that like a Hindulotine. And so he immediately names it, and then he puts it on MTS, puts it on Mastering the System. And so now I'm like, well, damn, I don't even know if this like move works at all. I haven't even like played with it at all. And now it looks like I'm like, like repping it, like pushing it. And so I remember that just kind of at that time at my age that I was just like, I put a lot of like, I was like, okay, I gotta make this move legit. I gotta like focus on it and show everyone it's legit. I remember I was like super focused on it leading up into EBI 1. So it ended up going pretty perfect with hitting the two Hindulotines. And
Absolutely,
I remember
yeah.
that night.
I watched that live, and we were just like, what the fuck is even happening here? We couldn't figure it out whatsoever, dude. It was so insane.
Yeah.
He's fucking done it again.
Yeah, the second time especially. I remember I would have a lot of like pre-match anxiety, and like my mental state going into like competing was always like it was like okay, but I was always playing with it and like kind of trying to figure it out. But I remember that night specifically, since I was a purple belt and there was like higher level guys there, I felt like no pressure, and I had a real clear plan with the Hindulotine. So I remember I was like actually able to really enjoy it and enjoy that competition. And after I hit the Hindulotine, I would like walk around the crowd, and I was like able to take in the energy. Like people were all like, yeah, and then like after the second one, I walked around again, and like I was able to actually like enjoy it with people and stuff rather than just be kind of off in the corner, like kind of focused and getting ready. And so I remember that like really giving me like an early taste of like of switching my head to like actually being able to enjoy competing and being in a good kind of mental space, like leading up to competing. So I remember that was like a big switch for me mentally, because before then I always like, I was like still figuring it out, you know, I was still figuring out how I wanted to feel good before competing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's definitely a skill in its own right.
yeah, yeah, there's so much to that. Like now it's obviously I've like learned a lot more, but yeah, there's so much to that. When you're fresh and coming up, you put so many things behind it, whereas eventually it's just like you realize that like you want nothing. You want like you need to like just make it normal, just like you're at the gym. It's really experience. Once you've had like a ton of experience, then it just all that just kind of brushes away. And then finally at a certain point, it's like you're actually looking forward to it, you know?
Mm.
This is your time that you get to perform. This is your time. This is like what you are working towards. This is what you do it for. You know, if it's not like that, then, you know, then what are you doing? I mean, you should be working towards these competitions. The competition should be something that you're looking forward to. If you're really like trying to do it at the highest level, or really trying to, like, if this is really what you're doing rather than just something you're doing on the side. So switching it into that mode and like actually like looking forward to competing is like, that's a beautiful thing too. Yeah. I remember though, like, yeah, I had like so I had that good performance, and like I was getting all this great feedback and it was great high, but just actually like just like a week after that comp, I ended up breaking my arm in practice.
Shit.
Yeah. I was I remember like you know, because of EBI, I remember there's this change in people and in the gym where it was like it kind of felt like, you know, because now we're in
Target
the
on your
sub
back.
only scene. We're in the sub only scene too, where it's like you could have a role with a guy, maybe you're dominating the whole role, but if you didn't sub him, then it didn't matter, you know, like, and he felt like too, like, he didn't sub me though, you know,
He
like,
didn't sub me.
it's like I could feel that with some people. And I remember, and back then I feel like I was rolling a little harder. I hadn't learned yet like how to protect myself. Like this was one of the first things that like really showed me like shit, you can like really hurt yourself with just your own strength. Because yeah, like I was applying this mounted triangle to him, and it was like towards the end of the time, and I just like really wanted to get this sub because this guy was like, I could tell just his energy. He was like, if I can just survive Ben Eddy, then I can say it. He didn't
Yeah.
sub me. Back then I was like, I actually cared about that or whatever, you know? And so I'm like going really hard to finish this triangle in the mount. And I'm just kind of using my arm as like kind of a fulcrum to try and get my other leg and like actually lock it in. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically I'm just like holding my leg, like trying to lock the other leg on top and just using my arm like as a fulcrum. And he's not even moving or nothing. I'm just squeezing. And I literally just pop my top bone, my radius, like right in half. I just break it
Wow,
right
that's
in half.
crazy.
And just from squeezing and just from like trying to throw the other leg on top, it just pops right. And I hear and feel this pop. And I'm like, I fall off and I'm like, oh shit, I think I just broke my arm. And I knew it right away. I was like, I think I just broke my arm. And the guy like goes crazy. He like gets up and he starts running around. He's like, somebody call an ambulance. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm actually having to calm this guy down while I'm laying there with a broken arm. So I'm like, hey, I don't want an ambulance. Actually, I don't want to pay for that. So can somebody tell this guy to
Yeah.
calm
$5,000.
down?
Thanks. No thanks.
You know, but yeah, so yeah, I was actually out for I ended up being out for actually like a year and a half after that. So right after EBI won, I ended up going home because I had insurance back in Oregon. So I went back to Oregon to get the surgery and everything. Then I kind of had just like you know, leading up to EBI one, I had like really not focused at all on my business. I just kind of like focused all on jiu-jitsu. So I had let my business totally go. And then the way I was making money was like through Google and like SEO. Google like totally changed its algorithm and everything. And so kind of my business just like totally fell apart. So I was like spending that time as well, just rebuilding my business, trying to figure out other ways to make money online. And so I ended up staying at home for like a little over a year. And then I was finally just thinking through, I was like, you know what? I really don't need to get back to the levels of money that I need to have to live in San Francisco. Let's just go back to Oceanside. Let's just go back to Oceanside. let's just switch to jiu-jitsu full time. You know, we'll keep doing some online stuff, but let's just switch to jiu-jitsu full time. Let's go live in the garage and just do this jiu-jitsu thing, you know? So that was the time when I switched over to just kind of thinking jiu-jitsu was first and everything else was second. And yeah, went back, and on the way back, I was like I think I hitchhiked back, but on the way back, I like dropped off at San Francisco, and then Danny gave me my brown belt. And then I got to Oceanside and started from then on with Geo. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So then I was with Geo for I was there in the fighter house as Kevin Burbrick, Geo, a few other guys. It was a really cool situation. Like all we do is just train the whole, like it was interesting. Like Geo's gym at that time didn't have any white belts. It was just like blue belts and up, because we didn't have any. There's no marketing. It's basically just like a group of friends, you know, that just got together and trained. And so there's like probably like 30 of us, you know, but we're like really regular. So it's pretty much 20 to 30 of us that show up each day. And, you know, we didn't have like the best guys, but we didn't have like white belts to deal with either. Our classes, we didn't really have to teach classes so much. We're kind of just teaching each other, and then we'd roll. And so it was pretty cool, like self-led, evolution process, I feel like, with that, because we didn't have to really deal with like running a gym or kind of bringing up white belts. You're kind of more of a focused group. Yeah. And so we just trained like twice a day, just come home and video game and, you know, eat in between. It's just a very focused like friend group, basically. It was definitely one of my favorite times in general. And we'd always go up to Eddie's on Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, we'd drive up to Eddie's in LA and train with him and learn from him. So we were getting a lot of time with Eddie as well. And I was there for a good 3 years or so before things started to take off. The next thing that Eddie came through with was the combat jiu-jitsu. And I remember that he was pushing me to go into that early on because he wanted to really see rubber guard in combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I remember I was really not convinced. Like, you know, I really like jiu-jitsu, and I was not really into the idea of like punching or hitting, or, you know, don't really see myself in MMA, because I like the idea that I'm going for a submission. The guy taps, neither of us damage each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very Damian Maya attitude. He said that a couple of times in MMA.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, from that aspect, like the MMA appeals to me. And so that's how the combat jiu-jitsu started to kind of appeal to me. I was like, well, you know, you're just trying to learn how to use your jiu-jitsu to win in these situations. So, and ultimately at some point I was just like, you know, Eddie's lining up these really big opportunities. These are like the biggest opportunities I have. I can't be saying no to this stuff, you know? So yeah, I just ended up going with it. And yeah, I think my first match was the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, the super fight with Wilson Hayes. And and he had literally just fought for the title that year. Like he was just off of his like match with Mighty Mouse for the title. He lost that match, but still he's like, you know, fighting for the title. And then now I'm like going against him in Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and that was my first match. I was still a brown belt. So it was interesting. But yeah, I was able to just jump full guard and get a dead orchard like real quick. I remember when I had the dead orchard, it took a long time to actually lock it up, and a lot was going through my head in the sense of like, okay, I'm either gonna get this right now or he's gonna bust out and I'm gonna get fucked up. So I better fucking like
don't let go. Do not let go.
For real. I was like, okay, we really need to hold on to this one. Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to get that. So that was a good start.
Absolutely. Good start and a good finish.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kept doing that. And then I had the one match for the 135 title. And then that's how I got my black belt on stage there, which was like just such a cool moment. I'm so glad that it happened that way. Like, you know, it hit me like really hard. It hit everybody else really hard. Everyone was able to like, you know, experience it. And Denny was kind of the one that pushed for that, called Eddie and was like, hey, you know, I think maybe it's time, maybe we should do it this way. And he flew in. I can't remember where he was, but he flew in from wherever he was, brought a black belt in. and Gio and Eddie and him were all there, on stage. So that was super cool moment. I remember it just really connected with people, and I got like hundreds of messages from everybody. And kind of after that moment, I was like, man, I can I could probably start doing like seminars and stuff now. I remember like no one was really doing like donation based seminars, but the idea kind of came to me that I was like, I'm still new, and yeah, I have this moment, but I don't have the biggest name. So what if I just do these seminars like donation based? And so I was like kind of thinking about that, and I was asking around to different people, and I remember that everyone was giving me really bad feedback about it. They're like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's gonna water down the prices, and you're gonna like devalue seminars and stuff. You gotta like ask big prices, and you got to value yourself. I was like, yeah, but I just want to get yeses, like, and I also, cause I was thinking about traveling, and, so I wanted to be able to travel around and just be able to go to all these different gyms. And if I had told them like, this is my number and this is what I got to get, then, I'm going to get a bunch of no's. And ultimately I just want to be able to travel and hang out with these people. And if I can get my costs covered, then, I'm good to go. And at this point I haven't traveled at all. I've just been in Oregon and California. I'm like 28 and I haven't left just even those two states almost, So yeah, I just want to get around. And I remember Denny pulled out of one of the Amsterdam camp that Jeremy Fields runs. And so Jeremy hit me up and he was like, hey, you want to fill in for this Amsterdam camp? And it was like 5 days before it, it was like really soon before it. And I was like, well, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it, but
Better check I have a passport.
Figuring out the flights and everything. Yeah. No, I had my passport already, fortunately. But yeah, figuring out the flights and all that. But yeah, but I remember that was the thing that really kicked it off, because I went to the Amsterdam camp, had a really good time. Everybody enjoyed it. And I met so many people there who also had gyms all over, who were like, hey, come back to my gym, come teach if you want. And so I already had a bunch of people that I was setting up seminars with from that. And then I was like, man, let's just put a post out and just tell people I'm just going to do donation-based seminars. I'm going to be out here abroad for however long. And if you want me to come by, just message me. And so I did that. And then I had so many people reach out, and I had like this, there's just like poster I share at this point where I was like, I had like 30 gyms and like 30 seminars all set up over the next like 2 months. And so I had this whole like 2 month like tour set up like within just like a week. And yeah, it was amazing. That was my first time traveling in general. And so now I'm traveling the world, teaching seminars to all these different gyms. And it's just like the most amazing way to travel, like, cause these people, they're all usually like just salt of the earth, like the actual locals, like they know their local area. They're usually like been born and raised in that place. It's kind of what I end up feeling out. If they're running a gym in that area, they usually like that's where they grew up. That's what they know. And so you're really getting shown around. Like you're getting told all the local stories. They know the restaurant to go to. They know the hikes to go on. They know all the locals. It's like there's no better way to travel, because you're really getting shown. You have once you get there, you immediately have like a local friend group that's like completely behind you and wants to show you everything. So yeah, just hopping around like that was incredible, absolutely incredible.
And so you stayed in Europe for quite a long time. Like how many countries would you say you hopped through in that little seminar tour?
Man, I think in just that first one, I think I went to like probably like 8, probably at least 8 to 10. Yeah. And I would do in a few different cities in each country. And because I stayed out for like 3 months, and I would be doing seminars like it would be like kind of seminar, stay there a few days, then another seminar, stay there for a few days. And it's pretty regular. Yeah. And then I would go back to Oceanside. I'd stay back in Oceanside for just like a few months, and I would plan out my next trip. And then I'd go back out and I would travel again. And I remember I did that for like just kind of a couple of years, where I kind of go back and forth. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Such a blessing to be able to do that with jiu-jitsu. And eventually I ran though into a point where I was kind of feeling like, okay, I'm kind of traveling too much. Like even my guys back in Oceanside, that's like everybody's faces are a little, I don't have like a route anymore, you know. And
Yeah, yeah,
even my guy, like the fighter house was kind of gone. So when I come back to Oceanside, I'd need to find a, someone to stay with, or I'd have to get a hotel or something. So it kind of started to feel like, I didn't have a home base, and now everything was traveling. Everything was, just kind of hanging out with people. And so that's when I started to feel that. I was like, oh, okay, I need to like switch back to having a home base again, because I like the traveling, but yeah, when everybody just becomes a new face, that's not the best. So, but I remember though, then at that time, COVID kind of came in, and I was in like San Diego at that point when COVID came in. I remember that the feeling was terrible. Like everybody was so scared. Like everybody was like really worried that like shit was about to go down. It kind of gave me this like real sense of like how little people like trust in their neighbor or like know anyone around them. Like when you're in a city and you feel like things are about to dissolve, you like know you're in the wrong place. You like know like, okay, we need to get out of here and get back to the countryside. But yeah, so I went back home during that time. I was like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, I don't want to be here. So I went back home,
oh, yeah.
and it turned out to be like fine. We weathered through. At first, it felt terrible, and then it turned out though that like I ended up needing to take care of my grandpa while he was like kind of going through his last days. So I stayed home for like a year, kind of doing that, and that kind of gave me this other kind of transition time before I like ended up switching to 10th Mile Austin. So I was kind of feeling out where I would go from there, and I wanted to go back to Oceanside and stay in Oceanside. But also, I had visited 10th Mile Austin a little bit, and it was a good situation where like I was able to make like they could pay me a salary to coach and stuff. And so I was at a point where I did need like an income from jujitsu, like a regular income where I was at rather than just like from seminars. So yeah, and Austin was just really coming up. There's a lot happening in Austin. Austin's kind of become a little bit of a mecca now. And
Yeah,
so
for sure.
and with Gabe and Curtis and kind of the whole team that they have here with Austin, it just kind of felt like the right time and the right switch. And yeah, it was going to be I was going to be able to afford it that way by having the salary. So I wasn't ready really to start my own gym. I wanted to really kind of keep focusing on competition and keep that being like my main focus and not like get pulled away by having to start a gym. So yeah, it ended up being perfect. Switched down here to 10th Mile Austin, and it's really been great. I've been able to like be learning a lot from like Gabe and Curtis, and they have like such a stacked team here. And Austin, there's always
Yeah,
people like
such a
coming in and
massive
out.
gym as well.
Yeah, it's a really massive facility, like really nice facility. And there's always people coming in and out. There's always competitions happening here with like flow grappling and doing stuff. Like Who's Number One is here a lot, and a bunch of different competitions. So that's always good. It's really worked out really well for me. I really like Austin. It's like a really pretty city. It's got like a lot of like nice fresh water, a lot of like good swimming. It's sunny most of the time. It's got like a really fit, like healthy kind of community culture. It really feels to me like San Francisco felt when I was first there in San Francisco, because it also has a lot of things happening. Like the comedy scene all moved here, the jiu-jitsu scene moved here. A lot of the startup scene has been, and tech scene has been kind of coming in with like Elon and everybody else like moving in over here. Yeah, it kind of feels like it feels like a place where things are happening, kind of how San Francisco felt. It has a very young, healthy kind of culture that it feels like. So yeah, I've been really, really enjoying it.
Awesome, yeah. You guys get much cross training in with the other big gyms in the area?
Yeah,
You get a lot of visitors
I'll
coming in.
go around and cross train a little bit though. They usually come to us, so that's been nice. I feel like it's happened like a little bit less lately. Like maybe some of these different competitions that are happening are making people be a little bit more team based. Like we got team competitions happening, and then we got these different. I don't know. I just feel like the energy's changing a little bit, but yeah, usually we're kind of like the in between gym. Like a lot of gyms, like we have the biggest open mats in the city. So our Saturday and Sunday open mat, a lot of people come through, as well as our 10 round Tuesday, which is now just like a open mat. Basically, it's more like a 20 round Tuesday because it's like 2 hours. So, But yeah, a lot of people from different gyms come through on those days. We'll usually have B team guys and different guys come through on the Sunday open mat. Some different new wave guys. The Tackett brothers used to be coming through a decent amount. I haven't seen them in a little while, but they're getting busy with everything. So, but yeah, and I'll go around and cross train a bit too.
Yeah, it's wicked. It's so nice to have such a bunch of good guys just floating around. Like the standard
It's
is
wild
kinda,
how many like high level gyms are here in Austin. There's so many. There's like legitimately like 8 like super high level gyms. I mean, there's probably like 30 gyms in general, but there's like 8 that are like some of the best in the world. It's pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
and you're teaching like a dedicated rubber guard class there now, I think. You're
I
doing a
had a
430.
dedicated rubber guard class, but I don't right now. But yeah, I teach a pretty regular schedule. I teach the 430s from Monday to Thursday, and that's like kind of my class that I like. I teach like focused courses through it, so I'll like have a focused course like we went over wrestling for like 4 months, and we like broke down
wicked.
like each kind of like part of wrestling, and now we're going from like wrestling to like passing, and so it's like which takedown leads into what type of pass, and then we'll have wrestling as well into like guard responses. So if they're trying to pass like this after the takedown, what are the guard responses? But yeah, I kind of just approach like a topic, and then I'll course it out. So I'll actually give my guys like what we're like the whole course. I'll put it into like a Google Doc, and I'll show them like what we're going over, and then we'll start working it out. We usually have like Monday, Tuesday is just technique, and then Wednesday, Thursday is live. We'll just like kind of do eco games on Wednesday, Thursday based off of the technique. And then Monday, Tuesday, we just learn it. So it's nice. It's like a little bit more focused. I have it be like just like a year or more. You need to have like a year or more experience. So
Yeah,
it's like a little bit more of an experience class, and I can like just kind of work a little bit more of an advanced program. So that's fun. And then I teach a couple of the lunch classes. So I teach Monday, Wednesday lunch class as well. And then I teach up at our Round Rock location. We have a location up in Round Rock, and I teach on Monday, Wednesday up in Round Rock too. So yeah, I teach a good amount of classes, and we have a ton of coaches. We have classes from like 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and we got 2 mat spaces, one mat space for our Jiu Jitsu side and then one mat space for our MMA side. So we have MMA classes going from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. as well, just like whether it's kickboxing or Muay Thai or boxing or just MMA, or we have wrestling and judo classes, have just all kinds of classes. It's like there's something going on in the gym at some point of the day the whole time. So it's pretty cool. We have a lot of instructors, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think people would be surprised to hear that you're teaching a wrestling course.
Yeah, we kind of had went through everything else, you know. I'd started with guard, you know, and so we taught for a long time and all the different guards, and then I taught passing for a while, and then I taught finishes, and we kind of gone through everything else, and wrestling was the last thing, and so I was like, okay, we're gonna have to cover this wrestling, you know. But also I've been like leading up to it, like I've been really focusing on myself, on like trying to get better at wrestling, and like really focusing on my wrestling game. And that's what I kind of really like about the courses though too, is like, I mean, we feel this as instructors, it's like teaching is like, it levels us up so much. So
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
you know, I'm like trying to level up my wrestling. So when just by developing that course and really like researching it and writing it all out and figuring it out, it's like, and then by teaching wrestling for 4 months, I'm also drilling with them. I'm showing with them. I'm doing all that stuff. So you know, it's half for me, half for them. You know, like I wanted to really get better at my wrestling. So by going through a 4-month program with them on wrestling, like my wrestling has gotten way better, you know? So
yeah.
So yeah.
Because you got to be ready for questions, you know what I mean? It's not just what you're showing in class that day, but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you got to kind of learn around the topic too.
Yeah. And you're just open. Sometimes you're like, I don't know the answer to that. I'll go research that and figure it out, you know, which is cool as well.
Yeah. As long as you're honest, you know, that's the kind of, like, it's impossible for you to know everything. So there's going to be times when you're out of your depth, or at least on something that you don't know that well.
Yeah, I find it's super key because, again, like that was something that I really enjoyed when I was like, you know, starting the sport, was just like seeing that in my coach. So I always like remember that and like try and keep that as like, you don't need to be a know-it-all. Just be honest, show what you think, show what you think is the best, what you know so far, and talk out what you're unsure about, and just leave it as an open discussion. Especially today when we have access to all this material.
So
It's
much.
like
Yeah.
you can't act like a know-it-all today. It's like there's a ridiculous amount out there, and everybody's got access to it. The students coming in could watch a course and they could see through your bullshit pretty quickly.
It's true. It's true. You do get those questions sometimes from people where they're like, Craig Jones says you shouldn't do this. You're like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I'll just probably believe Craig Jones over me, honestly.
Craig Jones says the back is bullshit. You should just stand up. Well, okay, but today we're going to learn the back, all right?
Yeah. You got to be good at the back before you decide to stand up.
Yeah, you're going to learn it first. Then you're going to learn how to stand up, okay?
Yeah. Speaking of controversies in teaching, where are you weighing in on this ecological versus traditional debate that's been going on?
Yeah. Man, it's, I think ecological is a really smart, good system for like designing situational live sparring, designing games for live sparring. It's just that where the argument gets a little funny and kind of a little weird is when they're like pushing it as like the only thing you should do. Like kind of the way that they run their gyms is it's only eco games, and so there's like no teaching portion, and like they're actually against teaching. Like they wouldn't teach you different ways to finish a Kimura. They would just teach you the elements that it takes for someone to tap when you have a Kimura. But like if you believe that squeezing the head in between the knees and then ripping to the left and then picking up and then ripping to the right is the correct way to finish a Kimura, that's just your opinion. But the elements of like what makes a Kimura finish is that you have the arm like this and you push it like that. It's like they'll teach you the constraints of what causes someone to tap with a Kimura, but they won't teach you like, oh, okay, you need to pinch the knees around his head, rip it this way first to break his grip, then pick it up to your chest, then turn it to the right. And it's like they'll only teach you like basically what makes someone tap in a Kimura, and then the constraints around. Like you could teach the constraints. Like you could say, okay, we're going to start with the head pinched, and then and then they're going to have the grip. And our goal is with this game, to just break the grip. So they could put you in that game, and in that way you could learn how to break the grip and only how to break the grip. And then they'll put you as the next game, the grip's broken, now get the tap. So in that way they can take you through two games. That one game teaches you how to break the grip, the second game teaches you how to finish the Kimura, but they won't sit down and teach you, okay, you break this way and then you finish that way. They would be against that. They would be only for designing the games and telling you how the games work. So I think that makes sense to have people play those games and have them learn and be able to feel live, breaking the grip live and then finishing the Kimura live. I think that totally makes sense. We've been doing that for a long time, but taking away the teaching element that's just too far. Now you've turned it into a dogma that's just way too dogmatic, and there's just moves that are better than other moves. There's just techniques that we've learned that have taken a long time to learn, and there's just in certain situations you're not going to want to choose a Gable grip, you're going to want to choose an S grip, and there's reasons for that, and it's going to take you a long time through live training for you to find that out on your own, whereas I could just tell you it. Like any of this stuff, when we teach, we're teaching from experience, and we're telling you, look, I've been there for 10,000 hours. I know that this grip this way with this angle works a little bit better than that way. And so you can spend 10 minutes here repping this, drilling this, and you can feel out how this feels better. And then we can go to the live game. So I think it makes sense still to have teaching and still to have some learning that's non-live based. And then I can put you in a live situational game where you can feel out those elements live. So I like their verbiage and the way that they design games. And I think that's useful. I think it's like a little bit more focused than how, I think we've been doing that basically already, but this is like a focus system for it. So I think that's cool, but it shouldn't get rid of teaching. And there's also like, so the thing about drilling is like, it depends on your game, how much drilling is valuable to you. Like when you take something like the 10th planet system, drilling is really important because the 10th planet system is so long. You have such a long path to hit. I'm going to go from quarter guard. I'm going to bump you, and then I'm going to get my my perfect double unders, and then I'm going to come up to dogfight, and then I'm going to pass off to the side. And then, it's like we have like such super long paths that drilling those is really valuable. There's no way that like I'm going to be able to get down the whole path from quarter guard to lockdown to electric chair to sweeping to getting up to an arm triangle without drilling that path. You have to drill that. So I think if you have paths that are like really long, that are very specific paths that you want to hit, so if you have like game plans that are really specific with like long paths, then you drill. If you don't have long specific paths, then maybe you don't need to drill. So, like let's say if like on the feet, you just like you have like a few moves that you really like for takedowns, but once you've taken them down, you don't necessarily have the next move super planned out. Well, then you don't have to drill necessarily. You can just do your live takedown scenarios, and maybe you just have like more like, okay, if he falls on his back, I like going to headquarters and passing like this. If he falls to turtle, I like playing turtle like this. But you don't have that long set path, So yeah, I think I think in a scenario like where we have with 10th Planet, where we have these very specific long paths that we want to hit, you can only really get good at that through drilling. Yes, you still need a lot of live work too, but you're just not going to hit it in your live until you've drilled it a ton of times.
Yeah. I always kind of thought maybe like as your level goes up, you probably want to do more and more of the kind of eco or constraint set approach, and probably like early on in your journey, because I think a lot of it is mechanics as well, like it's more useful for beginners to drill because they need work on the actual mechanics of the movements. And then as they get more and more experienced, I think the time and stuff is going to be more and more important for them, or learning how to link it in
like
with
some kind of
setups.
moves. Like how are you going to hit like a knee wedge? How are you going to hit like a rolling knee wedge if you've never even tried it once non-live, or if you've never even drilled that once non-live? Like, how would you ever take a beginner to be able to hit that? How would you ever have a beginner hit a berimbolo? Like, how is he going to, like, I understand you could start him in the berimbolo spot and you could be like, okay, the win scenario here is when you take the back, but why not just have the guy drill that a few times to at least feel the movement a few times? It's like,
Yeah. And
I
then
think
you can give it to
there's
him
no
after.
way.
Once he's like mechanically sound at hitting a berimbolo, then you can say to him, okay, we're going to put you in the start position and your goal is to try to invert through. But,
Yeah.
I don't see how you could break it down.
There's some movements like that are like kind of like hard, like physical movements to do that you just need to drill in order to physically be capable of doing them. I feel like a rolling Kimura, hitting Granbys, a lot of inversion stuff. Like you can't hit an Imanari roll until you've like drilled that a bunch. I don't know. How are you going to hit a flying triangle?
I mean, even stuff like trying to come up on an underhook, I think you would need to drill, you know what I mean? Like before.
Yeah, coming up to dogfight. Like, how would you figure out like coming up to dogfight? How would you figure out like perfect double unders?
Fancy feet. Yeah.
Yeah, fancy feet. Yeah. So I think like basic jujitsu, and which, basic jujitsu is very good. So I feel like basic jujitsu can be figured out like on its own through just the live eco. But I think ultimately that's constantly what people say. And that is really what we're seeing is like these guys that are doing really good with eco, they've been in the sport forever. They've been in the sport for a long time, and they're just now getting really focused, really well laid out live drill time or live go time, which is like, obviously that's valuable. Like if I could have an environment like that where I was getting a lot of like really well designed live go time, that'd be great. Cause I already know what I need to do in these situations. So
eco, good. Normal drilling, also good.
Yes, exactly.
I think probably the distinction to make with drilling is like when you're drilling, it shouldn't be like dead reps. You know what I mean? You're not going to be drilling with somebody who's just giving you absolutely no feel back, Like, and the more you get better at the move, then the more your partner should be giving you more kind of live, not
Yeah.
resistance exactly, but more live responses. You know?
Yeah. And that's how it feels like too. When you're like learning a move at first, it's like nothing. And then you're like, okay, I got to feel for it. And they start giving you a little more. And like, okay, I got to feel for it. And they give you more and more. And by the end of like 10 minutes, you guys are basically going live. And yeah, I mean, that's how normal like drilling would be. I think some things would be just straight drilled. Like if I wanted to go from quarter guard all the way to the arm triangle through our good path, I am just gonna drill that like 1,000 times.
Yeah, yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, you're just gonna get increased resistance as you're like learning how this thing works.
I think that the stuff with the kind of longer paths, like what Eddie always used to say was, it's like mitt work when you're boxing. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
like that's your warm up. We know it's not supposed to be as live as like sparring in boxing is, or light stuff in boxing is, but that's kind of the point. It's just like reps to drill the movement.
kind of wakes your body up, get yourself in that kind of funnel. Yeah, Eddie's all about drilling. So,
He
but
goes deep.
he also has the eco already built right in. You know, like all
For
the
sure.
warm ups have the live drills, and they're very
Yeah.
specific constraint based live drills. Like he's been
Yeah.
doing the constraint based live drills already. Like he
Years.
already had the whole warm up system set up with the live drills in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's definitely something that, I don't know. Yeah, I like it. I do enjoy it, and we do try and get people going live as quickly as possible. Definitely think it's useful.
I think there was it's coming into this. There was definitely like I think on average most schools were probably too teaching based, and then they would just teach, and then it would just open up to live roles, and that's not probably not the best for people to actually grow and develop. So maybe bringing the teaching down just a little bit, and then having this place for focus situationals before you open it up to open roles. That's the change. That's a valuable change, because you should have some live work on what you're teaching that day or what you're going over, so they can feel that live, because sometimes it's hard for them to take what they just learned and find that in their open role. And so if they don't find it that day in their open role, they're probably going to lose it.
Yeah, makes sense. We actually run that every day. So we do like whatever our teaching portion is, we do like 10 1 minute rounds of whatever it is we're doing. If it's half guard, we're going to start from the grips, try and hit the stuff we were doing in class, and then just free rolls after. But yeah,
Nice.
we could probably
that's
focus
kind
in
of
a
what
bit
we do
more.
with our lunches too. That's what we do with our lunches too, pretty much. We'll teach, and then we'll do some live situational, and then we open it up. Ultimately, you still got to just open it up. People just want to have some part of it. Part of this too is like, you got to realize that you're giving people an experience. Like, some of these students, they're just most of your gym is just enjoying their time there. So also just for the nice enjoyment of the time, it's nice to have some teaching time, some situational time, and then just open it up for open roles. I feel like too.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
just a good experience for the students.
Yeah. And yeah, they want to go live as quick as they can. So you kind of have to accommodate them.
Yeah.
Well, some people do. Some people love drilling.
Yeah. Some people like just sitting down and listening to you talk, and
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
getting to screw off,
Yeah. Do you have any guys who just like zone out when you're talking, and then they're like, what are we doing again?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to name names, but you know who they are. But yeah, just when we're talking about kind of drilling there or training, if somebody wanted to get into rubber guard, where would you start them? And then what are the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to like pull rubber guard into their live game?
So like rubber guard pretty much comes off the overhook. So you want to like just start getting good at your overhook. You want your Jean-Jacques overhook. Want that elbow up high. You want your wrist down low, and start really feeling like when you put an overhook on people, they can't pull out. They can't pull out of that overhook. They're stuck. So if you got them stuck just with the overhook, then now when you throw the leg over and it's actually like rubber guard, they're stuck even that much more. But they need to be stuck first with the overhook. If you're just trying to catch them with just the rubber guard, then that's like your foundation isn't like it could be stronger like through that overhook. That's should be the first stick, is the overhook. And then you can move from the overhook to the knee hug, or you can just keep the overhook really. But so yeah, that's the first thing really to develop when you're trying to do this. And so Eddie will always say, and I'm like really still trying to make my game and develop as well too. So what that means is like you have to start with the underhook too. Like Eddie will always tell us like start with the underhook. You go for the underhook. And most of the 10th Planet game really is based on underhooks. And so you go for underhooks first. And then when they deny you the underhooks, usually they do that through them trying to get an underhook themselves. And that's when you get your overhook. So that'd be kind of the high level like overlook of it, is basically like try to go for underhooks. That sets up overhooks. You set your overhook, and then that's when you can start firing for your rubber guard. But yeah, so make that overhook sticky. Then once you start getting into your rubber guard, the big thing that I like really focus on and try to tell people is like, don't play rubber guard from butterfly. Like once let's say you've got your overhook, you've thrown your rubber guard leg over, but your other leg's still stuck in the butterfly. We call that New Jersey. And we call it New Jersey because you don't want to be there, right? So
It's beside New York, but it's a bit shit.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the truth. Like, you don't want to be there. You don't want to be in New Jersey. And I used to actually like the butterfly, and I'd play there a lot, and I'd stay in the butterfly, but I've really made it a rule kind of a long time back now. But I remember just early on that I kind of liked the butterfly. But yeah, it's a big rule, and a big thing that I try to get across is like, don't stay in the butterfly. That's where you're going to get passed. Especially the biggest mistake I see people make is they'll throw their rubber guard. They're still in the butterfly, but then they're grabbing their foot. They're actually going to their full rubber guard while they're in the butterfly. It's like, this arm is now being used. You have nothing protecting your leg. So you're going to get passed. That's, people are constantly getting passed when they're throwing rubber guard. But it should be either you have the overhook or you have the knee hug, whichever one, but your other arm is totally focused on their far arm, and you're trying to get your knee inside their arm. Because once you get your knee inside their arm, you can take your foot out of the butterfly and you can put it on their hip or in full guard. So basically what, we call it in 10th Planet, we call it pyramid, when you put the foot on the hip. So I just recommend that like everybody focuses on getting to pyramid. Like that's my 100% my focus. I first get the overhook, I throw, but I'm not thinking about rubber guard at all. I'm thinking about getting to pyramid. So I'm using my elbow, I'm clearing, I'm fighting the whole time. And as long as I stay 100% focused on getting to pyramid, they're not going to pass. I might have the overhook, I might have the knee hug, I might have the meat hook. Whatever I'm doing on the left side, that can be situational. Usually I like meat hook the best, but I could be playing with the overhook. It doesn't matter too much. The right side, depending on what side you play rubber guard, but your free arm is the side that matters. That's the side that has to keep on blocking off that pass. And so it's got to keep on pushing their arm out, trying to get your knee in and trying to get to that pyramid. Once you get your foot on the hip and you're in pyramid, now they can't pass. So now we can attack. Now we're ready to attack. So if you try to attack before then, you're really risking it. So that's the key to me. Once I get them in pyramid, now they're stuck in a dilemma to where like I'm inside their arm with my knee, and I'm either going for the triangle or I'm going to clear the head. My Hindu's here too, and I go for the Hindu a lot. But what I'd say traditionally for people is once you're in pyramid, your two main places you're going to go is to a triangle or to clear the head. And they're kind of in a dilemma right there. Like if they drive in, they try to put you flat, then they're closer to you and it's easier for you to go triangle. But if they try to like look away or put weight on your free leg so that you can't triangle them or turn to the omoplata, that's when you're going to clear. Or if they posture too, that's when you clear. Pretty much you only go triangle if they drive in. Otherwise you just clear. And then when you clear, it's up to you with what kind of attack you want to go. There's lots of attacks off the clear. So that's kind of like where you get to make your decision. But I feel like that little funnel really simplifies the rubber guard game, because the rubber guard game there's so many options. There's so much stuff that I feel like they're not sure what they should do. But it's just overhook, pyramid, and then once you're in pyramid, even in pyramid, you're not grabbing rubber guard yet. In pyramid, you're still just holding the wrist, the knees holding it out. At this point, you're still just in pyramid. And you could go to triangle from pyramid without having ever grabbed the rubber guard. So a lot of it really, until you start clearing the head, you're not really playing rubber guard. Every once in a while, I'll grab that mission control or that New York. Usually when they like pummel back through the knee, like if they do pummel back through the knee, my foot's still now on their hip, but they pummel back in. Now both arms are in front. Now I can grab my mission control or New York. And then I can start looking for dead orchards and stuff if I want, when both arms are inside. But otherwise, just in the pyramid, one arm stuck outside, you're basically just looking at a triangle or clearing the head. or you can go Hindu, which I go Hindu a lot. But honestly, what I recommend these days is just, and I'm even trying to do it with my own game, is like I'm trying to focus my game towards two things. I want to get to two things. Eddie's two things. So you're gonna clear and use either like an omoplata or a go-go plata. So you'll go-go launch or go-go roll, and you'll end up in mount. You can also do it through the omoplata though too. You can roll with the omo and you can step back properly to still end up in two things. But yeah, the finish from two things in mount is like, that feels like the best to me. There's so much control. I can pull that far arm towards me and get the choke there, and there's so much control there. The choke is so like, I also don't have to use any energy. Like I'm using no strength. Like I'm in full control with no strength. So, pretty much every sub, like if you're actually going to get the sub, you kind of have to sell out all of your energy, So if you don't get it, you're kind of gassed, like if you go for a triangle, even when I go for a Hindulotine, kind of any sub you go for, if that guy survives it, it takes a good amount of your gas tank. So it's kind of a risk when you go for a submission. If you don't get that submission, you kind of risked it because you're probably going to be gassed afterwards. But the two things literally does not take any strength, doesn't take any energy. The guy's in such, I don't know, I've never felt any submission that felt like more control than two things. And that's what Eddie's been saying too. Eddie's like, he feels like that it's the best. And so I've actually been really trying to like change my game around to just focusing on the go-go platas so that I can use them to launch or roll, or even just the omoplata for a roll. Any way that I can get them to go to mount with my rubber guard still in so I can go for the two things is what I've been looking for. So that's what I'd recommend. I'd recommend overhook, pyramid, triangle, or using the go-go plata to roll or launch and then try to get to two things.
I see. I did a Sean Bollinger seminar years ago, and he was showing us an entry from top mount into two things. So he'd pull out the overhook, pull him up on the side, frame on the face, get the foot around.
Yes.
Yeah, it was wicked. I still do it.
That's also my favorite. Yeah, nice. That's also my favorite. I look for it from top a lot too.
Yeah.
I love that finish because it's such a good, strong finish, and everybody's going to try and give you that overhook and mount, because they don't want to give you the underhook there. So
yeah,
it's not that hard to get that overhook and mount, and then it's like a really solid, and you're staying mounted too, so you're not falling back. So yeah, I really like that finish from top as well.
Yeah. I've been getting it a fair bit when they come up, say they're coming up in side control on the underhook, and you can just overhook it and like step right over. You know what I mean? Because they're already kind of up on their side, and you can start entering it in from there.
When you're on top and they're in side control,
I'm on top, yeah, and they start
like they're like dog fighting a little bit.
They're trying, yeah, and as soon as they come up, you like take the overhook and just like step over into it. They kind of give you the angle already,
Yeah,
it's good. I love it.
Yeah, I like that option there too. I'm kind of playing it with the 3/4 mount basically. I'll like be in the 3/4 mount, and then I'll choose between the truck roll or the two things.
Cool. Yeah. Depending on whether or not they put the arm up or keep the arm down.
Yeah, whether or not I get that arm basically. Like I like cooking the 3/4. I like going ahead and putting in the lock, the lock that you need to roll for the truck.
Yeah.
But staying on top,
yeah.
It kind of feels like almost like a Khabib mount, because you kind of have that like their legs locked down, and they're very stuck with that like lockdown there. So I like cooking there and like seeing if I can arm triangle. So I'll start going for the arm triangle, and then to survive that arm triangle, they have to pull their arm out, and then that gives me the overhook, and then I'll step up on that.
That's awesome. I'm gonna steal that. And then what would you say? So I suppose the biggest ways that people would mess it up, like I mean the kind of thing that's most common is just like yanking on your foot in rubber guard, just like pulling on the foot without bothering with the knee. And then maybe the angle, I don't know, do you teach much about like cutting the angle on your side?
Yeah. Well, so that first thing I feel like most people mess up is the going for a rubber guard while you're in New Jersey, while you still have the butterfly. That's like the main thing I see. You're grabbing your foot, and yet your foot's still on butterfly. But yeah, so I think the other kind of like the rule that I like to tell people is like keep your knee closer to your chest always than your foot. So don't ever pull your foot and allow it to get closer to your chest than your knee. your knees always got to stay closer to your chest and your foot. So yeah, if you're trying to clear the head and you're not holding onto your knee and you're just pulling your foot, then yeah, you might injure yourself. It's also just not going to be as effective. You should hug your knee first, hug your knee. So he's stuck. He's not going to be able to pull out. I really picked this up from Adam Stacknoff and kind of like watching him play growing up, like, cause I also just felt it from him. Like basically whenever once he'd get his overhook, he would then make a knee hug. And it just felt like there was no way you were ever going to pull out of that. So you couldn't pull out. And if you tried to drive into him, what were you going to do? There's no way you're going to pass in either. So he'd just very slowly, he would just like wait on it. He'd hug his knee, keep it forever. And then he'd very slowly just kind of bring his elbow in front. And then he'd just start pushing you away with his elbow, just pushing your face away with his elbow. And it was just like a matter of time, basically, that eventually you're going to have to look away and you clear and then you're going to be getting gogoplotted. But just feeling the strength of that knee hug, it's like you should have this knee hug, and then that's like, not only is it strong, but that's going to protect you. You know, you're never going to hurt yourself if that knee is constantly like right to your chest. So knee hug first, then use your elbow, really push them away with your elbow so you make big space, then you grab your foot. So those two elements aren't there for some people. They're just grabbing the foot. They don't have the knee or the elbow. So you need that knee, and then you use your elbow, and then you grab the foot like last. Yeah. So those two things are the biggest things, I think. The butterfly and yeah, just grabbing the foot. You don't have to be like on your side. It's nice to be on your side, but you know, even when you're squared up, you can still hug your knee, and you can still bring your elbow and use the elbow to push them away to get on your side. Meat hook can help you get on your side. Using the elbow inside of their arm, inside of their forearm, you can use that elbow to push on them to get on your side. That's probably the main way I get on my side, is using my elbow inside their forearm. But when you're flat, you can go for dead orchards, and you can still hug your knee and clear their head with your elbow. I also go for the Hindulotine a lot when I'm flat, because I could be flat for the Hindulotine.
I saw you playing a sorcerer recently.
Sorcerer, yeah. I've been trying to get that one down just because it looks so cool. I would like to be able to hit one in competition.
Awesome. So
just for fun. So yeah, I've been trying to figure it out, and then like the sense of like where it shows up in a live role. But it's a pretty tricky one.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I don't think I've ever even successfully completed drilling it. Never mind that hit it live.
One of our Lauren Sears, who's here at 10th Mile Austin, she's really good at it. She's hit a few of them, and she really likes it. So that she's kind of been putting me onto it, like trying to get me to play it. And she's got kind of her own variation of the sorcerer that she hits as well. So
yeah, we're just at kind of hour and 20 there. So yeah, we can kind of wrap it up there if you like, or we can keep going if you have some more stuff you'd like to talk about.
And you know, one of the cool things we're doing here at 10th Mile Austin, I think more gyms could do, is like we just been starting to work with our local farmers and figuring out who those farmers are and make relationships with them. And we have a fridge and a freezer at the gym, and we sell produce from the farmers just right out of the gym. And so we have, you know, raw milk and eggs and bread and yogurt and meats and everything. And we just sell that right out of the gym from the local farmers. And yeah, it's a really cool hookup. It's a really cool, like, direct access for the gym, for the students to their local farmers. It's been pretty cool to like kind of make those relationships. And I love having like just the raw milk and eggs and all the produce like available on hand right there. So we're building that up into a little bit of a thing. Curtis is like, he's even starting a little grocery store, Guerrilla Grocers. And we're starting to figure out like how we can do this as like a brand and like kind of more of a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Some of these things are like, you know, it's technically not legal to do the raw milk and to sell some of this stuff. So we've figured out how to do like make it like a private membership, so that people are part of this private membership in order to be able to get it. And so we're kind of figuring out like the legal guidelines around it and how to be able to get people access to this local farm food that normally they wouldn't be able to buy out of a gym or out of these different places. So yeah, it's been cool. It's a pretty cool project. It's getting us involved with figuring out how to get food to our people, basically, from good sources. Because it's just, the labels just don't mean anything anymore. Like organic, grass fed, it could still be, that cow could still be sitting inside a factory and they just brought the grass in.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it seems like today you just really have to know your farmer. I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys got more decent groceries, and it's not such big factory farms, but for us here in the state, like every grocery store we go to, it's just like all just big food, and they figure out how to
Yeah.
game these labels, and yeah, you just can't trust what you find at the grocery store anymore. Farmers markets are cool. That obviously works great, but even then, it can be tough to, you kind of have to really talk to your farmer a lot to really even know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
there's just a big hole for needing to know your farmer better, because most of these
Yeah, for
animals
sure.
and food and everything is just being raised really wrong. So you might be eating a really good whole foods diet, but you might still be, unfortunately, you might still be not healthy. So
Yeah.
really understanding your sourcing is like a big deal. You got
Yeah.
to really.
And I suppose, like, for you, growing up, literally growing your own food, it's a big change to just be buying everything from the grocery stores instead.
I didn't have the best diet growing up. I didn't have the best
Oh,
diet
really?
growing up. Yeah, no, my parents, we didn't, we were in a small town, but we didn't have like a farm or like we didn't. Yeah, we would go hunting and stuff. We go hunting and fishing, so we would have access to some natural, food that we get through that. Otherwise, no, we were pretty basic. We ate from. I had like I most of my meals were cereal and Chef Boyardee, and just basic. It took me a while till not until I got out of the house till I got to San Francisco, and was kind of going through farmers markets in San Francisco, and I had like a lot of acne. I had like a lot of different problems, and I had never been told about food and diet, and that like maybe that could be affecting how I feel or how my skin is or any of that kind of stuff. And so I just and I remember just like even eating the stuff I was buying at the farmers markets. I was like, whoa, this tastes way different than what I was getting at,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
grocery store. Just I remember the first time I like bit into a tomato and I was like, no way, these tomatoes are like, they actually taste good. Like you can like, actually eat broccoli like raw, and you're like, whoa, this tastes good. Like just such a major difference between something that's been grown, raised right, and something that isn't. And so, yeah, I remember my early experiences with that, and just no, it took me a long time to. It's taken me a long time to switch over and figure out diet, and I'm still on that path. I'm still constantly learning. Our
Yeah. You
our
were
diets are
vegetarian for
just
quite a long time there.
yeah, yeah.
Now
I've
that I
tried
met you.
pretty much every diet. I've tried pretty much every different version. I was vegetarian for. I've been off and on vegetarian at different times, but I've definitely tried vegetarian for like a good 2 years straight. Like really clean too, as well. Really clean. Just when some people say vegetarian, it's like that just means they don't eat meat, but they're eating all kinds of processed food. They're like not really even eating vegetables. But like no, I was like no processed food, vegetarian, like actually eating vegetables. For a good two
Yeah.
years. I've been vegan for like 6 months before. I've even been like raw vegan. Like I tried raw vegan for like 3 months. I've tried like paleo and keto, and I've tried pretty much I've been pescatarian. I've tried most diet types, and the latest one that I've been on now for the last couple of years is they're kind of calling it like animal based. It's like what Paul Saladino is pushing forward. I just call it like meat and fruit, or the meat and fruit diet, because that's basically what it is. It's just meat and fruit. And it could be dairy, up to you on like how well you do with dairy. Raw dairy, it should always be raw dairy, but up to you on that. But yeah, your main base is meat and fruit. So no vegetables and no processed food and no breads, just meat and fruit. And man, I feel so good on it. I feel it's like my digestion is just so clean. It's just so clear. Like I always still had like a bit of like, I was always still tired after I would eat. I was always still like, I'd still get some gas. I would still get some kind of like digestion feelings, even on my other very clean diets. Whereas with this, I can just feel how meat and fruit they just go down so easy. And I never have any gas. I never have any type of digestion feeling, other than just it feeling perfect, honestly. And the biggest thing too is like on all of the other diets, even though I was like really good at being disciplined, I would still crave like having the other stuff. So I'd still want like the
Yeah,
ice
yeah.
cream, or I'd still want that bread, or I'd still want whatever it was, you know? But man, with this diet, like it's so satiating, you know, like it's so like, that's kind of what I found is it's so like if I want something sweet, I reach for fruit. You know, I've got fruit and honey and raw milk. I can make the best raw ice cream ever. Like, why would I want processed ice cream when I can have amazing raw ice cream? You know, I could make an amazing smoothie. I could make amazing fruit bowl with honey and cinnamon. Like, there's no, now at this point, I'm like, what processed thing would I want to reach for? Like, there's nothing even out there that like even interests me, because like the well sourced like fruit, honey, milk version is like way better. You know, like, so my sweet side is like totally, I used to have a mass, I mean, I still eat a lot of sweets in the sense of fruit and sometimes some honey. But yeah, my cravings for like sweets were so big because I grew up on so much candy and like ice cream and stuff. But now it's like just completely appeased. Like I have no desire at all to have any sort of cheat, any sort of anything. So that's what's been really, really nice, is like just not even having the desire. Like I'm actually only desire the best. Like I only desire the best meat, the best fruit, the best milk products. I kind of go back and forth with milk. I can feel sometimes a little bit of like if I do have some levels of gas or anything, it will come from the milk. But yeah, it's great. It feels really nice. Just not having any cravings anymore, and kind of just realizing that like the best stuff is like the best sourced like real food. So I feel like I finally got there with this latest diet, and that's been really nice.
Yeah. Do you pay any attention to like the kind of protein to fat levels? Because that was like a big thing with the keto. Or do you like go lean meats, or do you even bother?
I don't have to pay too much attention. I think you have to pay more attention with it if you're not eating as much carbs. Like if you're not eating much fruit, or getting like, if you're low carb, then you really got to pay attention to it, because the fats are basically your carbs. So you need to get the right amount of fat so you can, because your body will turn the fat into carbs. And so if you're not eating carbs, then that's why you got to pay attention to it. But yeah, if you're eating a lot of fruit, then it doesn't matter too much, really. Yeah, doesn't matter too much, because I already have my carb source through the fruit. And so the body can just use the fats as fats and the protein as protein. It doesn't have to make the switch on those. Yeah, it gets a lot more complicated when you're just doing carnivore, or if you're doing low carb. I did try carnivore for a bit, and man, I just can't seem to get past the phase where the bowels become more normal. Like that'll literally, like I've gone 2 or 3 months and it's still the same. I'm like, dude, I gotta train. Like I can't train like this, you know, like this is like ridiculous. Like I'm like 2 or 3 months deep now and it still hasn't changed, you know? Like,
Yeah, this should be relaxing, but it's not.
yeah. So I don't know, maybe I'm messing it up somehow, and it's just, I enjoy life more with like being able to have the fruit
Yeah,
and
for
having
sure. Yeah.
the dairy. So that gives me enough variance, and the
And I
honey
mean,
and
you can
everything.
you can still go out for dinner with your friends and stuff, and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not super restrictive in the way that carnivore or keto or paleo is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, paleo's not too bad, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, but yeah, so I found it to be the perfect medium, and I'll probably start introducing some other things eventually here. But it just says like really show me what vegetables probably were messing with me, and also that I need to get more meat and more fruit into my diet. Like the other foods were just taking up too much of, so I wasn't getting enough of what the meat gives me and enough of what the fruit gives me. Really just like eat more fruit. If you have any kind of cravings, just eat more fruit. They'll take care of it, And that's been a big help for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a better sweet than a Mars bar for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. That is the one side though that I really have to like still work to get sourced better is fruit. Cause I definitely don't trust the labeling there. Like the organic is like, doesn't really mean a whole lot. So still trying to
I
source my
mean,
fruit
depending on the
better.
fruit, it's not too much of an issue. Like most of the say, like oranges, there'll be stuff on the skin, but once you peel the skin off, generally it's like pretty clean on the inside, or any of that stuff with the thick skin. Watermelons, but like stuff
That's
that you
kind of the
eat the
rule
skin
that I
of, I think
stick
you got to
to.
be a bit more. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of the rule I stick to as well. It's like if I don't know the farmer, then I don't eat the like berries, like stuff where I have to eat the skin. Then I'm gonna be more worried about that. But if I don't have to eat the skin, then I kind of hope that that's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a trade off there between like, what would you call it? Like, the risk and then how much effort you have to put into avoiding stuff, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We just need group buys though with our local farmers on like seasonal fruits. We just got to become more aware of like the seasons and what's coming in, and just setting up group buys. And then you can freeze it. Fruits freeze really well and they thaw really well. So if it's peaches season, everybody at the gym goes in on a box, and you get your box of peaches, and you just got to freeze them. Whatever is starting to go back, whatever's starting to be too ripe that you're not going to eat, just freeze all that, and those will be your peaches for the year. And then you'll do the same thing with blueberries, and the same thing with strawberries, and the same thing with all of your different fruits. And as long as you freeze it, then you'll have your fruits all year round, and you can still pull those out of the freezer and thaw them, or just smoothie them, or however you want to eat them. And so
There's your ice cream.
yeah, exactly. I think we need to get smarter like that with our seasonal, being aware of our seasonal fruits, and who are the farms that are growing these without pesticide, and then getting together with groups of people to buy in bulk. We just need smarter websites for that, like a seasonal harvest, like seasonalharvest.com, and it just like helps everybody locally buy together during the season. I think that's coming. I think that stuff is like right around the corner. We're going to start figuring out who our local farmers are, and we're going to get smarter about buying from them. It's like that's the biggest trip to me, is that like, the biggest industry there is, the most important industry there is food, and there's no local farmer platform. There's no local farmer. There's nothing. There's no websites or technology that helps us buy and interact with our local farmer. Like no one knows that website that they go to in order to buy from their local farmer, or to find their fruit, or to find their seasonal harvest. So there's nothing helping the farmers yet, at least when it comes to tech. Yeah, I think that's a massive window that's going to get someone's going to start
Yeah, for
helping
sure.
out in that area.
Yeah.
That's
Like, I
gonna
don't
make a
think
big
they
difference for
particularly
us.
want to go through the supermarkets either. It's just that they have no choice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think group buying from local farmers, that's going to be the big unlock. Group buying from local farmers.
There's your next business idea.
Yeah. Yeah. We're working
Here
on
we
it.
go. Back online. Yeah. We might just tidy up there.
Yeah.
Do you have any seminars or comps coming up that you want to tell people, or how can people chase you on social media?
Yeah, my Instagram is Ben Eddy 10P. I got a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Ben Eddy Bravo. I don't really have much coming up right now. I had like a lot of things coming up, and then they kind of all fell through. Unfortunately, our AIGA fell through. That was a real bummer.
Yeah.
And I had some other stuff coming up, but it's okay. I've got this like little bit of downtime right now. So I actually had like a knee bursitis come up recently.
Yeah.
It's been good to actually give me some time to get over that, because that was a real bummer. That shit hurt. That's like, and it took a
Painful.
while to like get over it. So, but I've been feeling really good though
Had it in
this
my
year.
elbow before.
I had the good Who's Number One, and yeah, you had it on your elbow. I've never dealt with it yet.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I got it on my knee. But yeah, well, I want this to be a really active year though. So I'm looking around for competitions. I'm feeling really good, and I'm sure I'll be on the next Who's Number One here in Austin when that comes back around.
Wicked.
But nothing out there yet. Right?
Yeah, it's coming. No seminars,
No seminars right now booked. So if you want me at your school, hit me up.
especially if you're in Europe. Ben will travel.
Yeah. I'm gonna get back out there again. I'm gonna plan a trip to come back out. But yeah.
Wicked. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Ben. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. This is fun. Good to chat with you for a bit.
East to West Coast, vibe like we supposed to. Only choking in your ears, now we getting close to.